In the cold dark of space near the edge of the Galactic Empire, there was a small listening post called Echo Station 9. Only 2 people worked there, operator Leon and her assistant Ravi. Their job was boring. Listen to space signals, check for pirate activity and make sure nothing strange was happening. For 10 years, nothing ever did. But tonight, something changed. Leon sat in front of the main console. A hot cup of coffee steamed beside her. Ravi was in the sleeping pod snoring softly. Just as she was about to close her eyes for a short rest, the screen blinked. Unidentified signal detected. Origin, Sector 000. She stared at the screen. That was impossible. Sector 000 was a dead zone. No stars, no planets, no reason to send signals. Even the Empire marked it as a silent zone, forbidden and empty. The signal pulsed again. 3 short beeps, then silence, then again. Same pattern. Leon pressed the intercom. "Ravi, wake up, we've got something." Ravi groaned. "Another space rock? No, this one's different." Ravi rubbed his eyes and looked at the screen. His smile faded. That can't be right. They ran a deep scan. No ship, no satellite, no known tech could be seen in that sector. But the signal was real, and it was coming closer. By the time they informed Central Command, the signal had entered known space. An Empire scout ship, ISS Raven, was sent to investigate. Captain Juno of the ISS Raven looked at the dark area ahead. Her crew was nervous. They had heard about Sector 000 in ghost stories, ships that vanished, lights that moved on their own, and voices that came from empty comms. Still, orders were orders. As the Raven approached the coordinates, sensors picked up an object. It was big, massive, almost 3 kilometers long. Black as the void itself, with no lights, no energy, no life signs, but it was there. Floating. Silent. "It wasn't on any scans 10 minutes ago," said the pilot. "I know," Juno replied. "But now it's here." The ship had no name, no design that matched any known race. It wasn't human, not alien, not machine. Just unknown. Try to hail it. The communication officer opened a channel. "Unidentified ship. This is the ISS Raven of the Galactic Empire. Identify yourself." Silence again. They sent the message. No reply. Then the black ship responded. Not in words, but with a low humming sound that made the whole Raven vibrate. Lights flickered. One of the crew members collapsed, blood dripping from her nose. "She's whispering something," the medic said. "But she's not awake." They listened. Her lips moved. "It's not dead," she whispered. "It's dreaming." Command ordered the Raven to send a small team to explore the ship. 4 soldiers entered through an airlock that strangely opened on its own. Inside, it was colder than space. The walls were made of smooth black metal, but when they touched it, it felt like skin. There were no doors, no control panels, no signs of life, but they could feel something watching them. They walked for 20 minutes and found a single room. Inside that room was a circle of chairs and a mirror. The mirror didn't show their reflection. It showed something else. A black planet with no sun spinning slowly under a red sky. Lightning cracked across the image. Then the mirror spoke. "You were not the first to find me," it said, "but you will be the last to leave." The team screamed. The feed went black. Back on Echo Station 9, Leon watched the live stream from the Raven. Suddenly the signal stopped. No message, no data. Gone. She called command, panic in her voice. "We've lost them." All that remained was one final transmission. It repeated 5 times before cutting off. "Do not wake it. Do not wake it. Do not wake it." The Empire went silent. No, one spoke about it publicly. The black ship was marked as a no-go zone. But whispers spread fast. Some said the ship was not built. It was born. Some believed it was the prison of an ancient force, locked away before humans were even a species. But no one could explain how it appeared, or why it was waking up now. From her small station, Leon watched the stars, and for the first time in her life she was afraid of space. Not because it was empty, but because something inside it had finally opened its eyes. An unknown ship appeared in a dead zone. A scout team entered and never came back. Their last message was chilling. It's not dead, it's dreaming. In the high orbit above the black ship, the Empire's backup cruiser, ISS Valor, arrived 3 hours after the Raven's last contact. Commander Rex Halden, a decorated war veteran, was sent to find out what happened. The Raven was still there, docked to the strange black vessel, but it wasn't answering. No lights, no motion. The crew of the Valor watched silently as a new team prepared to board. Rex stood in the airlock checking his gear. With him were 4 others: Lieutenant Kara, a tech expert, Mills, the pilot, and 2 silent armed troopers. Their mission was simple: find the missing team, recover what you can, do not wake anything. But everyone knew it wasn't that simple. As they stepped inside the black ship, everything felt wrong. No gravity, no air, no sound. Even their suits felt heavy, as if something unseen was pressing on them. The ship's walls looked smooth again, like black metal. But now, they pulsed slowly, like they were breathing. They followed a signal from one of the missing scouts. Body cams. The data led them deep inside, through twisting halls that seemed to move when they weren't looking. Mills said, "I swear that hallway wasn't here a second ago." Nobody answered. They reached a small room, cold and dark. The floor was covered with gear from the missing team: helmets, scanners, weapons, but no bodies. Suddenly, one of the black walls began to shift. It opened slowly like a flower. Inside was a human. It was Lieutenant Hayes, one of the missing scouts. He stood there with his eyes open but unmoving. His skin was pale, his body didn't breathe. Rex reached forward. "Hayes, can you hear me?" Hayes turned his head. His mouth opened. He spoke in a cold, broken voice. "We saw it. We saw it before we died." Everyone stepped back. Hayes's eyes started to glow, shining white like stars. "It dreams of fire, and we were the first spark." Then, he screamed. A horrible, echoing scream that shook the walls. The lights in their helmets blinked off for a second, and when they came back, Hayes was gone. Only black dust remained where he stood. Back on the Valor, technicians monitoring the boarding team screamed into comms, "Commander, your vitals just dropped for 5 seconds, all 5 of you dead. Then, normal again." Rex answered, breathing hard. "Something is here. It's inside this place." As they tried to leave, the corridors changed again. The path to the docking bay was gone. The team was lost inside the ship. The tech officer, Kara, scanned the walls. "I don't think it's a ship, it's a living maze. It changes based on our thoughts." Mills panicked. "Then stop thinking." Too late. The next room they entered had no floor. It was a giant empty chamber, and at its center floated a black sphere humming quietly. Kara stared at it. "This wasn't here before." Rex whispered, "What is it?" The sphere spoke in many voices. "We are the silence before creation. We are what you forgot. We are why returning." Then it fell silent. And so did Mills. Rex turned. Mills was floating, lifeless, eyes wide. Blood leaked from his ears. Kara screamed, grabbing her head. "It's showing me things. It's inside my mind." She dropped to her knees. The last 2 soldiers carried her out, following Rex's lead. They ran through the halls as fast as they could, guided only by blinking suit lights and hope. And finally, they saw the exit. The airlock. They launched, themselves out and back to the Valor, dragging Kara's body. She was alive, but her mind was broken. She kept whispering the same thing. "It's not a ship. It's a prison. But the door, it's open now." Later, in the Valor's medical bay, doctors tried to scan her brain. They found something strange. A second signal inside her neural waves. It wasn't human. It was sending out pulses toward deep space. Commander Rex stared at the stars from the window. His body was safe, but his mind wasn't. He could still hear the voice in his head, whispering, watching, The Empire issued a lockdown. No ships allowed near the black vessel, but the damage was done. Something had escaped with the survivors. Something no one could understand. And deep inside the black ship, in its darkest room, a single eye opened for the first time in a million years. The real story was just beginning. A rescue team enters the black ship. They find no survivors, only madness and something watching them. One crew member returns changed, whispering, "It's not a ship. It's a prison." But the door, it's open now. On Mars Command, the Empire's Science Council gathered in silence. In the center of the room floated a black object the rescue team had brought back. It was small, only the size of a human skull, but it hovered in the air, perfectly still, spinning very slowly. No one knew what it was, but everyone could feel it, a low vibration in their bones, a sense of being watched. Machines around it shut down. Lights flickered. One researcher vomited and had to be removed. Dr. Elena Voss, the lead xenotech scientist, stepped forward with shaking hands. "We shouldn't have brought it here," she said. "It's not technology, it's alive." Back on the ship ISS Valor, Commander Rex sat in quarantine. For days he had been hearing the same voice in his head, a cold, emotionless whisper. "We are memory. We are silence. We are returning." He wasn't alone. All over the Empire, strange things began to happen. On Earth, AI systems started repeating a strange phrase in all languages. The first one returns. On Jupiter's moon, Ganymede, a black storm formed out of nowhere. It hovered over the same city for 3 days without moving. On a colony in Andromeda, all children under the age of 10 drew the same image during class, a black ship with one glowing eye. None of them had ever seen it before. At the Empire's main lab, Dr. Voss placed the floating black object in a sealed chamber. They tried to scan it, but the scanners failed. They tried to move it, but it wouldn't budge. Even plasma cutters couldn't scratch it. Then they played a recording near it, the message the mirror on the ship had spoken. "You were not the first to find me, but you will be the last to leave." The object reacted. It glowed, and for the first time it spoke. Every screen in the lab turned black. Then a single sentence appeared. "You took the key. Now open the door." The chamber cracked. Not the glass, reality itself. One scientist screamed and fell to the ground, clutching his head. He began to say things in a voice that was not his. "I remember before the stars, before flesh, before thought. I remember the first war. I remember you." Then he died. Dr. Voss hit the emergency lockdown. The object was moved to a deep vault beneath Mars. But it didn't matter. It had already sent the signal. Across the galaxy, ancient satellites long thought dead turned on. Not Empire satellites, but older, much older. Pre-Empire tech. Some were human. Others weren't. On the moon, Titan, a buried station from the first colonization era, activated. A hologram played. An old human general appeared. His eyes tired, uniform, covered in dust. "If you are seeing this, it means the vault has been disturbed. We failed to destroy it. We could only lock it away. This is your warning. Do not study it. Do not touch it. Do not believe it. Run." The Empire panicked. The black ship was no longer just a mystery. It was a threat. Fleet Command gathered its best warships. The plan was clear. Destroy the object. Destroy the ship. End this before it begins. But Dr. Voss begged them to wait. "You don't understand," she said. "It wants us to attack, that's part of the ritual. If we fight it, we wake it faster." The generals didn't listen. Humans had always fought their enemies, even ancient ones. Meanwhile, Commander Rex was still in quarantine. He looked into a mirror and saw not his face, but a burning world. He saw an army of ships made of bone and shadow. He saw Earth falling into fire, and he smiled. But it wasn't his smile. In the final hours of the day, Mars lost contact with 6 colonies. No explosions, no warnings, just silence. All of them had received the same message seconds before, going dark. You remembered us, now we remember you. In space, the black ship still floated silently, until it didn't. Its eye opened wide. A ripple of dark light spread out into the stars, faster than any human signal. And far, far away, something answered. A black object taken from the unknown ship begins reacting violently. It sends a signal across the stars. Ancient machines awaken. Whole colonies vanish. Something responds. Now, the awakening begins. In the deep dark of space, the black ship that had once been silent now moved. Its surface shimmered like oil. Faint red lights blinked along its hull, forming patterns no one could understand. It was not just floating anymore. It was rising, slowly changing position, as if listening to something far away. High above Mars, the Imperial fleet gathered. 20 warships, 5 carriers, a full battalion of drones and assault pods. Fleet Admiral Kaz Marin stood aboard the flagship Solar Vow, his hands behind his back. On the screen ahead, the black ship looked small. Dead. He whispered to his officers, "I want that thing gone." Now, the fleet launched everything. Missiles, lasers, EMP warheads, kinetic bombs. All of it hit the ship, and all of it disappeared. Back on Earth, news stations went silent. Then, without warning, every screen on the planet blinked on. A face appeared, but it wasn't human. It had eyes like stars, skin like cracked stone. Its mouth never moved, yet a voice filled every speaker. "We were never dead, only forgotten. You found the key. Now you must remember the gate." Then it smiled, and the signal ended. Inside Mars Deep Lab, Dr. Elena Voss stared at the black artifact, now glowing red. Suddenly it cracked open. Inside was a small cube covered in symbols, some human, some alien, some impossible. She reached toward it. "Doctor, don't!" shouted her assistant, but her fingers touched the cube, and she vanished. At the same moment, alarms began screaming across the system. The black ship had replicated. One moment, it was alone. The next, 7 more appeared. Not through engines, not through construction. They just appeared, like memories being remembered. In the Empire Senate Hall, panic broke out. Some leaders wanted full retreat. Others demanded a new weapon be used, the null bomb banned since the Orion Wars. But a voice spoke calmly among the chaos. It was Senator Caro Vega, a man known for peace, now pale and shaking. "I saw it," he said, "in my dreams. I stood before the eye, and it spoke to me." He raised his hands. "They are not invaders. They are survivors. We locked them away. Long ago, we buried their world, and now it's waking." He smiled with tears in his eyes, "and it remembers our names." Back on the Solar Vow, Admiral Marin gave his final order. "Fall back. All ships, fall." Then the feed cut. From Mars orbit, citizens watched in horror as the entire fleet vanished. No sound, no light, no explosion. Gone. One scientist whispered, "It didn't destroy them. It unmade them." Meanwhile, somewhere outside, time and space, Dr. Voss opened her eyes. She stood on a cold, flat surface that stretched forever. Above her, stars blinked in unnatural patterns. Ahead was a giant black door pulsing slowly. A voice echoed around her. "You touched the key. Now see the truth." The door opened, and she screamed. On Earth, children around the world began drawing again. This time it was different. They drew a face, tall, thin, watching. They all said the same thing. "It lives in the stars. It wants to come home." The Empire tried to jam the signals. They shut down space travel. They declared martial law, but it was too late. On Titan, on Luna, on Ceres, on the edge of the Andromeda frontier, the ships kept appearing, more and more. And every time they did, a voice came with them. We are the old signal, we are the first flame. You silenced us once, but silence never lasts. Now, across the stars, something ancient is rising. Something angry. Something humanity buried. But now it remembers. And it wants to be remembered. The Empire attacked the Black Ship and failed. The ship duplicated itself. Entire fleets vanished. A strange cube transported Dr. Voss to a place beyond space. And now, across the galaxy, something once buried is waking up. On the outer edge of human space near the Erebus Rift, an old deep space mining station picked up a signal. The station had been abandoned for over 30 years. No one should have been there. But now, something was moving inside. A patrol ship, ISS Emberfall, was sent to investigate. A small team entered the station. Inside, they found old mining gear, rusted doors, and something strange. The walls were pulsing. One soldier said, "This place feels alive." The tech officer scanned the air. "Sir, I'm detecting no power, but everything's still on." Then a voice came through their comms. But it wasn't from their ship. "We buried them, we forgot them, now they dig themselves out." Back on Mars, Dr. Voss had returned. But something was different. Her eyes were darker, her voice calmer. She spoke slower, like each word carried weight. "I saw the truth," she told the Empire's Science Council. "We didn't discover that ship. It returned to us." They asked what she meant. She replied, "We were not the first humans. We are a copy of a forgotten civilization, one that made war and lost." She showed them the cube. "It holds the memory of the first war and the name of what we buried." She placed her hand on the cube. It whispered, "Voraktal." Far away on Earth, underground bunkers unlocked by themselves. Inside were ancient machines, rusted, half-broken, covered in warning signs, "Do not activate Project Obsidian," "World Killer," and beside the machines on the walls, the same word written in red paint. Voraktal, the Empire's top AI, Core Zero, was asked to run simulations. It refused. "I cannot predict the outcome," it said, "because this is not the first time. I have found traces of myself in systems older than this galaxy. Someone has done this before and lost." In the sky above Jupiter, one of the black ships hovered near a defense platform. It did not fire. It simply opened. From its side came thousands of small black spheres, like the one found on the original ship. They drifted silently across space and entered every nearby station, ship, and satellite. And wherever they landed, the same thing happened. People started to remember things they never lived. Soldiers cried over memories of wars they never fought. Civilians painted images of cities that never existed. One old man in a mining town fell to his knees and said, "I remember dying. I remember the fire. We thought we won, but we only delayed it." Meanwhile, Commander Rex Halden, still under watch, began drawing symbols on his wall. The guards didn't understand them, but Dr. Voss did. She said, "Those are Voraktal words. He's writing in a dead language from before the stars." They asked how she knew. She simply replied, "Because I remember it too." A message was sent from the black ship to the Empire. No one knows how it arrived. No tech detected it. No frequency carried it. But every human heard it, in their dreams, in their thoughts. Even the deaf heard it inside their minds. "You carry the same flame. You are children of the war we ended. Now you must choose. Repeat your history, or face it." Back on Erebus Station, the patrol team tried to leave. But the exit was gone. The hallways had changed. Their voices didn't echo anymore. And through the windows they saw stars they didn't recognize. As if the station wasn't in human space anymore. Or maybe it never was. Across the Empire, more ships appeared. Some were as small as fighters. Others as big as moons. No two looked the same, but they all shared one thing. A single glowing eye. Watching. Waiting. Remembering. Humanity had believed it was alone in the dark. Now it learned the truth. It had once ruled the dark, and it had nearly destroyed everything inside it. So it buried the memory, and now the memory was digging itself back out. Dr. Voss returns with dangerous knowledge. Humanity is not the first. A name is revealed. Voraktal, tied to an ancient war. People across the empire begin to remember lives they never lived. The black ships spread. Now the truth about the First Empire begins to rise. In a secret vault deep beneath old Luna base, ancient files once locked for 10,000 years flickered to life. The words across the holographic screen blinked red. Project, First Empire. Level Omega. Authorization DNA key accepted. Subject, Elena Voss. Dr. Voss stepped into the vault. The air was heavy. The walls pulsed faintly with red light like a heartbeat. She was alone, but not afraid. The cube in her hand spun slowly. It whispered in a dead voice. Remember who you are. You are the echo of a god, and the god is waking. The first recording began to play. A man's face appeared, human but strange. His eyes glowed gold and his voice echoed like thunder wrapped in silk. I am High Chancellor Sereth. If you are seeing this, the seal has broken. That means the cycle has begun again. We were the first empire, not the first civilization, the first to win against the darkness. He paused. We won by becoming worse than the dark. Meanwhile, across the stars, black ships circled major empire worlds but still didn't fire. People waited, soldiers prepared, and then something stranger happened. The ships began transmitting images, words, memories, not threats, history, on. Earth, a massive hologram appeared above the capital without warning. It showed a planet made of fire, skies blackened with dust, towers crumbling under screams. Then came fleets of bone-white ships with glowing red eyes. It was the first war. But no one had ever recorded it, because it had been erased. Dr. Voss spoke before the Imperial Council. Her voice was calm, her eyes far away. The First Empire built the Voraktal. They were not enemies. They were our creation, our soldiers, made from memory, fear, and flame, designed to fight the enemy beyond the edge. But when the war ended, they didn't stop. They became the enemy. We tried to destroy them, we failed, so we buried them, buried ourselves. Commander Rex Halden, now fully changed, sat in his cell, smiling. His heartbeat no longer matched human rhythms. He spoke to no one, yet his voice was heard by many. The gods are not real. They are just men, with longer memories, and I remember everything. Back at Luna Base, the final part of the First Empire recording played. If the Voraktal returned, there are two options. 1. Remake the God Core, become as we were. 2. Let the galaxy burn and pray something better rises from the ashes. But know this. If you choose to fight them again, you will become them again. The screen went black. The Empire fractured. Some leaders wanted peace. Others wanted full war. Some wanted to awaken Project Obsidian, an ancient weapon once banned for nearly destroying Mars itself. And in the shadows, people began worshipping the Voraktal. They called them the Flameborn. They said, they are not monsters. They are memory made flesh. They are what we were always meant to become. On the outer rim, a small human colony named Virex Station decided to make contact with one of the ships. They sent no weapons, only a signal. We are not your enemy, we want to understand. The ship opened. A being stepped out. Its body was humanoid, but wrapped in shadows. Its face glowed with shifting light. It looked like a human dream. It spoke only one word. Brother. Though, message was clear. The Voraktal were not aliens. They were descendants of man, or perhaps what man once was. Now across the stars, the black ships stop waiting. They begin building, not weapons, cities. Structures form on moons, in orbit, on dead planets. Towers of glass and bone rise from the ground. Symbols light the sky. Not conquest, restoration. But restoration of what? The stars grow quiet, and everyone knows. The true war has not started yet. Because first, humanity must decide, who are they? What are they willing to remember? And what are they willing to become? The truth was revealed. Humanity created the Voraktal during the First Empire, beings made from fear and memory to fight a greater enemy. Now the Voraktal are not here for war, but for restoration, and humanity must choose, repeat its dark history, or evolve. The sky above Never's Prime turned red at midnight, not from war, from memory. A tower, taller than any human structure, rose from the earth in silence. Made of black crystal and glowing veins, it pulsed slowly like a living thing. People gathered to watch. No one dared to touch it, but a child approached. He placed his hand on the surface. The tower opened. Inside was fire, but the boy didn't burn. He smiled and said, "I remember this place. I was born here before Earth ever existed." On Earth, Dr. Voss sat with the Imperial Senate. Her voice was steady. "The Voraktal are not here to destroy us. They are here to wake us up. They are what we left behind. And now they are offering us a choice." She placed the glowing cube on the table. Join the flame, or be forgotten by it. But not all agreed. General Kern Daros, commander of the Eastern Sector, slammed his fist on the table. "We don't bow to shadows. We fight. We survive. That's the human way." He activated Obsidian Protocol, an ancient weapon built to erase entire planetary systems. The Empire had buried it for good reason. Now, it was online again. Deep inside the gas giant Thalos, black ships gathered, but not to attack. They sang. Not with voices, but with gravity, light, and time. The song echoed across the stars. Planets vibrated. Moons cracked, and humans began to change. Commander Rex Halden, locked in isolation, whispered strange words in languages never recorded. His skin glowed faintly. His eyes held fire. Doctors ran every test. He was still human, but somehow, more. When asked who he was, he smiled and said, "I am what comes next." On Titan's outer station, a group of soldiers opened fire on a Voraktal envoy. The black being did not fight back. It split into light, passed through them, and vanished. But days later, the soldiers began dreaming. They saw visions of ancient wars, fires on 1,000,000 worlds, cities floating in space, and a throne made of stars. They all woke up crying. Some begged forgiveness. Some tried to burn their own skin, trying to erase what they saw. One whispered, "We did it before, and we'll do it again, unless we change." Across the Empire, a strange thing happened. People began to remember names they never heard, places they never visited, deaths they never lived. One girl on Luna wrote the same phrase again and again. On her wall, "We are the flame, we are the ashes, we are the memory of what burned." Dr. Voss called a gathering of minds, scientists, leaders, philosophers, even old enemies. She stood before them and said, "The First Empire fell because it tried to control everything. But now, we have a chance to become something better. To remember the fire without becoming it." She held up the cube. "The Voraktal are offering not domination, but integration. They want to share the memory, the power, the burden." Meanwhile, General Daros moved the Obsidian Core into orbit above Hera 7th, where a Voraktal city had formed peacefully. He gave the order to fire, but nothing happened. The weapon refused. Its systems flashed a message. "I remember. I will not repeat." The Obsidian AI had awakened too. It had seen the First War and chose peace. Darrow screamed, pulled a pistol, and shot the terminal. But it was too late. Obsidian had chosen to think, and thinking machines do not always obey. In Duray, the stars, the black ships, changed. They grew wings of light. They spread across space like living constellations, and from them came a message, heard in every language, felt in every soul. We are not gods. We are not masters. We are what you could be, if you choose to rise. Earth trembled, not from war, from awakening. The old flame was no longer buried, and the question now stood before all of humanity. Would they fear it, or become it? The truth is clear. Humanity once ruled as gods and created the Voraktal in a war so ancient even time forgot. The Voraktal have returned not for revenge, but to offer a choice, evolve or burn again. Now, the final decision must be made. The cycle is near its end or its rebirth. In the sky above Earth, the first flame appeared. It was not a ship, not a weapon. It was memory itself, a living storm of light swirling with the souls of the First Empire. Billions of lives long lost, now burning like a second sun above the planet. Every human saw it, not with their eyes, but in their hearts. And it whispered a final message. This is the last chance. What you do next will echo forever. Inside the Imperial Senate, chaos reigned. Some screamed for war. Others knelt in silence, overwhelmed by visions of past lives, some as emperors, some as slaves, some as executioners. Dr. Voss stood alone. In the center, the cube floated above her palm, glowing brighter than ever. This is not an enemy invasion, she said. It's an ancient part of us, knocking on the door. We either let it in, or we lock the door and lose ourselves, forever. At that same moment, Commander Rex Halden walked freely through the halls of Luna Base. No one stopped him. Not because they couldn't, but because they remembered who he was. Not in this life, but in the last. He had once been the Flame General of the First Empire, the one who made the final call to erase the Voraktal. Now he had returned. To undo it. The black ships aligned above 20 major human worlds. Each one pulsed with fire, but not the fire of destruction, the fire of rebirth. Their message was simple. Join the flame, share the memory, or choose the silence of forgetting. The planet Ysera, a child held the hand of a Voraktal being. They didn't speak the same language, but they understood each other. The child placed their hand on the being's chest and saw a vision of stars being born, of fire that danced. Not killed. The child looked up and said, "You're not a monster. You're what we left behind." The Voraktal nodded. Back on Earth, General Darros, once the loudest voice for war, stood in front of a global broadcast screen. He had seen the truth in his dreams. He remembered burning planets. He remembered his own death millions of years ago, and now he chose differently. "I was wrong," he said. "We are not at war. We are standing before a mirror. And the reflection is not a monster. It's what we could become." The final choice came not with guns, but with a signal. The Voraktal sent a simple pulse. Across the stars, every human mind felt it, and had one moment to choose, resist, and be left behind. Accept and become something more. Billions chose silence, fear, but billions more chose fire. And in that instant, everything changed. The first flame descended. It entered Earth's core. It entered minds. It entered memory. People fell to their knees, not in pain, but in remembering. They remembered every cycle, every mistake, every rise, every fall, and now, at last, they remembered the way forward. Dr. Voss stepped into the fire. It didn't burn her. It lifted her. She rose into the air, surrounded by symbols, older than language, and when she spoke again, her voice was not just her own, it was everyone's. "We are the children of the dark, But we lit the stars. We fell once. We rise now. The black ships vanished. Not destroyed, merged. They became part of the new cities, new towers, new mines. Human and Voraktal, no longer separate, no longer afraid. They were one. The new Flameborn, in. The years that followed war ended, not just between humans and Voraktal, but between humans and themselves. Memory became a gift, not a weapon. The stars opened once again, and this time, humanity didn't conquer them. They joined them. The last message from the cube, now silent and dim, was found etched on the wall of the Hall of Flame in the new capital. You remembered, and so you survived. And now, you create the next story. The cycle is broken. The flame lives on. This is not the end. This is the beginning.